And I think, there aren't many people who offer that personal service. I think you're one of them. I think you're another kind of what I am.
We got the same haircut, Daron.
Not the same, not the same beard, unfortunately. But
it could be arranged.
Yes.
So, afternoon, Daron. Thanks for joining us today. Before we sort of do a little talk about, how we've helped you and the things we've done for you, I just wanted to really talk about cross-border fire solutions first, because clearly it's a new business. So, two questions for you really is, how did you get to where you are, and what's the future really for cross-border? So, I'll open it up to you if you don't mind.
Yeah, cheers, Rob. Thank you. I've been in the fire and security business now for nearly 20 years. Always worked for somebody else. First job in the industry was working for a big international company. Knew nothing about the industry. I came from a production management background in Stoke-on-Trent. That's where I was born and bred. Moved up here for the love of a good woman, would you believe? Back in 2001. Looking for a new career really. The pottery industry was suffering greatly from foreign imports really. So I kind of looked into areas where I thought I'd have a career for the rest of my life, and had an opportunity with a company that was international but was started locally some 50 plus years ago in fire protection. So I trained with them as a fire service engineer. Within about 9 months, due to my background really, I proved my worth and was promoted to a depot manager in Chester, and then about 2 years later promoted again to operations manager for the group, running 7 branches throughout the UK and Ireland.
Wow.
So stayed with them for a short while, probably about 7 to 8 years. My young family came along in the middle of all that, and really through the nature of what I was doing at the time, it forced me away from home a great deal. So I chose to move back home and work for a local fire protection company based in North Wales. And joined there as a manager. Then decided to go back on the tools. That was really where I thought my strengths were at the time. Did a little bit of retraining, so went into fire alarm service and maintenance, emergency lighting, dry riser, wet riser testing, hose reel servicing, along with fire extinguishers, quoting for signage, fire safety signage, fire safety training. So yeah, I went back on the road. Great for me from a financial point of view. It was a lot better paid, to be quite honest with you, with a lot less stress. So that took me for the next 10 years. And then just decided that it was the right time. My daughter had grown to an age of 18, all but 18, believe it or not, and decided it was the time to have a go on my own. So hence, Cross-Border Fire Solutions was born. Only been going a couple of months now, with help from obviously yourselves and a few other guys down at the networking in Mould. The future's looking bright, so I'm really positive that it's going to be a really good thing for myself and the family.
Great. I think that's one of the key things which really resonates for me, is the family business vibe that Cross-Border Fire Solutions represents. So in a nutshell then, what's the services that you offer then, Daron?
Okay, it's mainly fire based, so fire extinguisher servicing, fire alarm maintenance and emergency lighting. Again, running alongside that, I am qualified to do hose reel servicing and testing, fire safety signage, surveys and installation, wet and dry risers. That's going to be a little bit towards the back end of the job. That's testing big sites, big blocks of flats, towers throughout the country. Pat testing is also going to be linked in to the company, and then again training, maybe fire risk assessments along the way. I'm trying to be the one-stop shop.
Yeah.
There's very much a lack of this within the industry. There's a lot of fire companies out there. Some do fire alarms only, some do fire extinguishers only, some do emergency lighting, pat testing, the electrical side. I'm trying to bring in a one-stop service so that I can look after, I'm a multidisciplined engineer. I can look after a client whilst doing 3 or 4 services on site as opposed to doing one.
Yeah.
And I think people like that because the cost comes down first of all, so you can be more competitive. And also, if you have any issues, you've got one phone call to make to one person, as opposed to ringing Fred for your fire extinguishers, Bill for your fire alarms, Dave for your security and electrical. So it does seem to work. People do like the multidisciplined approach now. It seems to be ever growing within the industry. And I think it is the way forward, really, that, people do like dealing with one person. We're all very busy out there now. We're all wearing, a multitude of hats which we've never perhaps wore before, and I believe that if I can lessen the blow for clients where they haven't got to think about who they're using for whichever discipline, and they've only got me to contact, then it proves a saving for the customer, and it gives me a little bit of added strength within my company that people usually, when you're doing 3, 4 or 5 things for them, tend not to look elsewhere.
And there's a bit of ownership with that client, isn't there, having
absolutely.
Done a number of things.
Absolutely.
It's actually very similar to what we try to do here at Florence House. So as you know, and you've said at the beginning, there's Celtic Financial, Celtic Law and Celtic Accountancy. Although we are 3 separate businesses, and we don't sort of pass referral fees or anything like that, we do work together. So we enable clients that one-stop shop where they can come, they can sort out their wills, they can sort out their accounts, and they can get some financial planning at the same time, and they haven't got to worry that they've got to go to 3 different professionals who haven't got that trusted relationship. Because you've hit the nail on the head for me, which is trust, and it's having trust in someone to do a good job, isn't it, Daron? That you're not just going to go
to ask, is it?
It's not. It's not. But unfortunately, it doesn't always happen, does it?
No, not at all.
Florence House is a good example, really, for me. You've come and done the signs, you've done the extinguishers. But we also had that fault with a fire alarm, and it's a brand new building, new installation, and it turned out it was a dodgy battery. And I didn't know that. No. You could have told me something completely different, but in the end you just replaced the battery and fixed the problem for us, as a gesture of goodwill, really. So I think that really goes a long way with clients.
It does.
You're not there to make a quick buck. No. It's a family business. You're going to go out
of the way. It's a long time, it's a long. I want to be around for a long time, and I want people to, The big thing for me is people actually referring me. I don't want to be spending a lot of money on advertising, because as a small business, every penny counts. And I think a lot of the time referral, and I've built up a lot of customers over my years that just won't go anywhere else, and have followed me from company to company. And it's took me a while to get to the point of realising that people are paying for me and not the company I work for, and I think that's very, very key now, and I'm proud to say that, that obviously I've now actually grasped that with 2 hands and actually believe what I was trained to do, and people like people, and I think that's very, very key now. There's a lot of companies out there in every shape and form who want to come in, take as much money out of you as they can, and not care whether you're going to be here or not next year. My belief is, the bread and butter work for me is going to be the maintenance. If you're going to be around me like I'm going to be around you for a long, long time, again, the referral side of it's going to be very key, and I think if people like what you do, the personal touch, I think, is a massive thing for me. Everybody says I'm very personable, and I think it's I'm a nice guy wanting to do a decent job for a respectable, competitive rate, and I don't think you can ask for more than that.
Going back to the networking then, so that's where we met. I think it's probably a couple of years ago, because you came to one of the first meetings, which is about 2 years ago now. Obviously you introduced yourself, your services that you did there. Just from the networking point of view, how did you find that? Do you think it was useful? Obviously we met through that networking. What would you say to other sort of business leaders, self-employed people looking to get work?
Okay, so networking, a lot of people, I've done it over the years. I've done it for the bigger organisations, BNI being one of them. What I found with the Celtic Business Network was that it was very personal, very friendly, kind of no airs and graces, no formality. Yes, people want to gain a little bit of business out of the small cost that when we meet for the breakfast once every fortnight. But I truly believe that because it's so informal, people feel more relaxed there. A lot of nice people there. I've made some good contacts. He is looking forward. I think he said at the pre-Christmas meeting there was about 120 businesses over the 2 years that have been involved.
Well, it's 12 months actually.
12 months. Yeah. So it's you've done very well there to bring these people in, and I think that's reticent to yourself as well. You've been kind of the key figure there, throughout. And for me, it's been a good learning curve, and it's one of the very few I've been to over my time. I've networked for previous companies I've worked for. Now I'm doing it for myself. I feel very comfortable there, and feel that going forward there's going to be quite a lot of good contacts, whether it be from a business point of view or whether it's going to be from people who I'd like to use, who are there that can assist me in the running of my business. So fingers crossed going forward, it's going to be a really good thing for me. Personal pension wise, many years ago I took one out with Royal Sun Alliance.
That is going a few years back.
It is going back a few years, and they were bought out and then bought out again. And then around about probably 12-15 years ago, when my daughter was not long born, the pension kind of took a bit of a back seat really. Saving money took a bit of a back seat, because that's the way it is, when you're earning a living, things kind of come, there are a little bit more, important at the time. Bills have got to be paid, mortgage has to be paid, the car breaks, you've got to fix it. So it kind of went on the back burner really, I'll be honest, up until a couple of years ago. I then had it, had a look, I was getting to the point, I suppose, when I hit 50 really, that I realised that I wasn't a million miles away from retirement, and I wanted to make sure I got enough money there in the pot to give me a reasonable living, alongside my state pension, which I've got full contribution into, and another couple of little pensions along the way. I had it looked at by another financial institution, who I did choose to go with initially. Gave me some advice. I followed the advice, and to be quite honest with you, it's one of those things that I'm in the hands of the guys like yourself who are the professionals. It did cost me a little bit of money, I'll be quite honest with you, and your rates were very favourable when we initially spoke. So I felt very comfortable in your hands, I'll be quite honest. And from the networking, I think, business breeds business, people like people, and I chose to move my pension fund, and have a bit of a chat with yourself and get a little bit more of an idea of where, if I could make a little bit more money over the term left before I decide what to do with it. And obviously within that period of time, the new businesses come along, which we had a look at to see whether I could release a little bit of equity from that if needed. Thankfully I haven't had to touch it at this point, so thanks for that advice. That was well worth taking.
I think that's one of the key points I want to pick up on really, actually, Daron, is we'd like to think we're not the type of financial advisors that's blinkered into maybe just managing a pension.
No.
We do try and give that holistic advice. So, you're a good example where you were looking to start your own business, and we gave you some input there. We looked at some options that we could do with your pensions. We looked at some other wider business options to try and give you the confidence to actually break that cycle of 25
absolutely.
years being employed and going on your own. And I've seen from a personal point of view a different Daron since actually you setting up Cross Border, and you've got a bigger smile than what I've ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for me, that is the job satisfaction. That
Yeah.
we don't just look at a pension fund and go, oh, well, this year it did X amount, well, next year it did X amount. It's about, well, how can we put this person in a better position? And don't get me wrong, not every client comes to us wanting to go self-employed.
No.
But it's having that ability to look at things off the table to say, where can we add value? What can we do to help this person? So hopefully, that was part of the thing that you picked up on.
Again, going forward, I want to start investing a little bit more money back into the pension, which I've not done for a few years. And I know you're going to help me with that and kind of direct me in the way that I need to build that pension pot a little bit more, hopefully. So here's to the future. I just want to be able to look back in 10 to 15 years time and I've built a nice little business for myself, and I've enough money there to do some nice things when I've worked all my life. I think we all work long and hard. I've worked and been employed since the age of, dare I say it, 14, off and on, as a kid. We all had little Saturday jobs and things. And I worked from 16, got trained within the pottery industry, and I spent 17 and a half years, good years there. I had a very, very good mentor there. That word didn't come along until very recently, not realising what he actually did for me. An old works manager, God rest his soul. He gave me some tools to work with, and I've carried them through my working life. And I believe, I have a lot to look back and thank him for, as well as my parents as well.
Yeah.
They were a big part of my life, obviously. Gave me some good values, some good morals, some good ethics. And I believe I've carried them right the way through to this present day, and they will be there going forward. I'm a big believer that we've said this before. People like people, and people buy off people. And I never realised this until very recently that all these customers and clients that have kind of been around me for such a long time were paying for me. I've said it before and I'll say it again. People do like what I do on a personal level. It's the I had a customer ring me on the 27th of December, just as an example, who had a problem with his fire alarm, and the phone was answered almost immediately, and the problem was sorted out within less than 5 minutes. It was a simple reset, thankfully.
Yeah. Didn't
have to attend site, no charge for the customer, and I don't think that guy's ever going to go anywhere else. He is a new customer, and that's what people don't offer anymore. They want to be out in the van straight away, charging the earth for an out of hours call out, and I believe a lot of these things can be sort of done over the phone, and people then get the confidence that you're not just there, you're not just a money ticket for them.
Yeah.
You can make money without being ruthless, and that's what I believe. I think at the end of the day, you can make a decent living without being ruthless, and I think there's not a lot of people out there can hold their head up and say, that's what I want to be. I want to be that person that everybody talks about locally, and looks after and know that they're not going to go anywhere else.
So, on that basis, how important do you think service is then?
It's at the forefront. Personal level, personal service, I think, is absolutely paramount. I think if somebody said to me a few years ago, an old managing director, crikey, if I could replicate you by 10, my job would be easy, because you are a one of one. They broke the mould, and I think there aren't many people who offer that personal service. I think you're one of them. I think you're another kind of what I am.
We got the same haircut, Daron.
Not the same beard, unfortunately. But
it could be arranged.
Yes, but no, I think the personal touch is very, very key on small to medium-sized local businesses.
Could not agree more.
And I've been talking to a couple of people locally today, and I think if we all spent money locally with local businesses, we'd all be okay. The problem is, unfortunately, the way the stresses and strains of costs out there, people do go out and look for a better price all the time, and they will do, and they may get a better price, but are they going to get the better service?
Yeah.
I think I have to say in my heart that I don't think anybody would be, certainly for me, and probably for yourself as well, would get a better service, and I want to be able to sleep at night knowing I've done the best I can, for every single person that's out there, whether they be a small news agent in the local high street or whether they're a big corporate company. And I think that's very, very key, that you need to be personal.
Yeah, that is, it's so important, Daron. It's the same belief we have. The client is absolutely everything to what we do here. And you're right, we deal with some of the biggest housing associations in the UK, all the way down to a first-time buyer looking to get onto the property ladder for the first time. And we treat them all in the same way. We go to whatever lengths we need to make sure we deliver the outcome that they expect, because at the end of the day, they are the people that keep us in business. And it's the same with you. Whether you're maintaining clients from a fire safety point of view, or maintaining clients from a pension point of view, it's the same principles that you have to look after the client. And if you say that I'm going to come and see you every June to make sure everything's okay, you need to see the client every June.
Absolutely.
And if you don't be surprised if one of your competitors comes and does it. So you've got to be Ronsil. You've got to do and say as it says on the tin.
You have.
And I think you're absolutely right. I think you deliver that, and I think people see that, and it's something that you can't really mask.
You can't. It's
there or it isn't there, isn't it?
You can't teach it. You can't go to college for it. I think you've either naturally got that ability or you haven't. Again, going back to the old saying, people like people. And I think if you've got that belief in what you do and what you're about as a business, whether you're selling fire extinguishers or whether you're selling pension funds or whatever, I think you've got to, if you've got that belief and people believe in what you are about, I think the job's easy. The job's easy, and people won't go elsewhere. And that's what I've always said. And it's took me a long time to actually understand that, really. Maybe if I'd have known this 10, 12, 15 years ago, maybe I wouldn't have had the experience I've got today, but equally, hindsight would be a lovely thing, but
we'd all benefit from that, Daron.
We would, absolutely.
Yeah. If I can ask you to sort of, in a short sentence, Daron, tell people who, they might be shopping around, because there's a big thing in trust. We both have that same obstacle. Do people trust you to do the job correctly? Do people trust me to do my job correctly? What would you say to people shopping around at the moment who may be looking for a financial advisor, why you would recommend Celtic Financial?
Okay, so obviously, we met at the business networking. That's where we initially crossed paths. And from there, obviously I got to know you, a little bit on a personal level. Celtic Financial for me, has done me proud, from changing over from my previous client. And you are what you are, Rob. Very good rates for one, very good advice for two, and you're always there at the end of the phone if you need some advice on which direction you need to go in, whether it be for a mortgage or whether it be for pension planning for the future
or van graphics.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But no, I think going back to the personal touch, I think you've got it, and I believe that you've recently been told you are number one in the North Wales Cheshire area for the independent financial advisors.
On Google,
Google,
we're number one rated in North Wales
which
for
is,
independent financial advice.
Congratulations, fantastic.
Yeah. No, we're really pleased. But it's a team effort, Daron. That's the big thing I always stress. Is it's not me. It's the whole team of Celtic Financial, because we all share the same ethics and the same belief that we just got to look after our clients.
Yeah,
they're our bread and butter.
Absolutely.
For people watching this on social media, on the website, wherever it might be, Cross Border Fire Solutions, how do they get in touch with you?
Okay.
And do you offer a free initial meeting, as do we?
Yeah, so I've set up a website, that's www.crossborderfire.co.uk. I've also set up a Facebook page, Instagram, and also I'm on LinkedIn. So there's three ways you can get in touch with me, via that social media. You can also give me a call on my mobile. My mobile is 07923 121 621. Also, you can get hold of me via my email. So that's crossborderfire@gmail.com.